All right, so we are taking a look at Vegland by IcyLava, who is joining me right now. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Okay, so I just played through the game, gave some thoughts and suggestions here and there. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience in making this game for the Game Boy Jam?
Uh, can you ask that differently a bit?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I realize that's kind of like more broad than I usually ask. Like, can you talk a little bit about the development process? Like, what was it like working with the limitations of the Game Boy Jam?
Yes, I I deemed it very important to follow the limitations as best as I could in Godot engine. I made it with Godot.
Mhm.
I think some people maybe weren't as uh, strict with the limitations, but
Mm-hmm.
I decided that it was important for me. And yeah, so I followed the like four color rule. You only have four colors at any given time. There's no like rotation of sprites. The resolution is 160 by 144. It's like the Game Boy. Uh, yeah, I don't know what else I could say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't participated in the Game Boy Jam, but I have participated in the low res jam, and that has the 64 by 64 resolution limitation. And I think it is really neat when people actually do follow the limitations, and I think it demonstrates a really good amount of creativity on the part of the developer's part. Sorry, on the part of the developer to actually follow those limitations and still make something that is playable and fun. Um, so and not just like, oh, I took a 3D game and mashed the viewport down to whatever this low resolution is, so everything's just really blurry. Like, congratulations, anyone can do that. Doesn't look good.
Yeah,
Um,
there were some games like that in the jam
I
actually.
figured. um, so, what were you looking for in terms of feedback on this project?
Um, just I'm not sure. Like any improvements I could make. I mean,
I think I mentioned that there like were a couple levels that were easier than others. Obviously, that if shooting is supposed to be an important mechanic in the game, then having something that introduces that is important. Um, Even
yeah,
if
that
it's just a little like text pop up that says "B shoot."
yeah. Uh, well, I guess I was just like limited in time.
Of course.
Uh, I think there were like 10 days for the jam, but I think I spent like 5 days
Mhm.
maybe more a bit. But yeah, but like yeah, I didn't. That was like one thing that I didn't think about. Just like telling the player in the game that you can shoot, because like in the page it does say what your options are, but there's nothing in the game about that.
So I saw that like you've got the inputs down here, but I didn't see like anywhere it actually says shoot.
Yeah, it just says what the it just says what the controls map to in the Game Boy. So on the
Yeah.
left column, you can see the Game Boy
Yes.
controls. I
Yeah.
also
So
didn't include select because it doesn't do anything.
right. I think if you had just one more column in this chart and one of them, and it said something like move, jump, shoot, does pause actually do something or like start? It's only to start the game?
Uh, oh yeah, start is for yeah the start screen.
Okay.
That's the only use.
Okay. Oh man. The fact that you get knocked back by enemies is kind of brutal. Um I know
Yeah,
it's very much the sort of style of these sort of classic platformers, but sorry, you were about to
yeah,
say?
I've kind of purposefully made it like a very long time where you're just frozen and can't like you have no input.
Are
Because that's I think
you
that's like I think games from that time kind of did that.
I mean, are you doing it because games from that time did that, or are you doing it because you think it's a fun, interesting way to challenge the player?
I guess both, because when the knockback is so brutal, you have to be more careful to make sure you're not rushing, that you're taking care of the enemies, that you're not avoiding the enemies. That's important too, I think.
I think the only particular issue is that with the limited horizontal scrolling in the game, it can be difficult to see enemies on upcoming platforms. So you could end up like jumping there. You know, there've been a couple times where I've made like a blind jump like this. I think it's coming up not necessarily in this level, because I think this one is surprisingly easy compared to some of the previous ones. But there's an upcoming level where there's an enemy like moving, patrolling back and forth, and you don't necessarily see them until after you've made the jump.
And the simplistic camera movement is kind of on purpose, but I did think about moving the camera ahead based on like where you're going. But that's just something that I just didn't end up implementing because like I was ending that I didn't have much time left.
Yeah.
So that's something I chose to not implement.
Yeah, and I think it's largely fine. I think it's just a few key places in the game where, yeah, like situations like that where like I knew that there was one enemy, but then I jumped and I realized there was a second one, and then I didn't. I was already too far to be able to turn around. So the only real solution to that is having those jumps be a little closer together. Like, obviously you're trying to challenge the player to like make long distance jumps, but then also putting an enemy on the far side of that means that you can end up in a situation where you just literally can't see them. And I think that in general it's something you're going to want to avoid, just because the it just sort of encourages like, oh, I guess I have to like play through the level to get to this point and then realize that I die from it. Have to play through the level all over again to get back to that point. It's just,
yeah, that is something that I'd like to avoid.
So I didn't go down here the first time I played. I'm gonna try getting all these now. What's the highest score that you've gotten in this game, by the way?
Highest score. It's been a while since I've played it. I kind of forgot what the highest. I think maybe something like 8,000, 9,000, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Has anyone like posted a screenshot or said that they got a higher score than you? Do you remember?
I don't think so. Hold on, let me check. Maybe there's some screenshots. Sure. But I don't.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, like, because there's a finite number of carrots. Are they carrots?
Yeah, those are carrots.
So is there a theoretical maximum to the score in the game? Like, collect all the carrots, defeat all the enemies?
Well, there would be some maximum, but I'm not sure what it would be, because the thing is, you get points for collecting carrots, but you also get points for carrying them to the end.
Mm-hmm.
But you also don't need carrots to kill the enemies. You actually, if you have no carrots, you can attack with your like claws or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So you could actually avoid carrots, then defeat the enemies, and then go back for the carrots. So I haven't. Yeah, you get more points that way, I think. I haven't tried it, but
I think that would be like it's very interesting. Do you know if it's possible to do that?
Like complete the whole game without using carrots on enemies, you mean?
Yeah. like, is it possible to avoid all the carrots and not use them on enemies and then collect them and save them up to the end?
Um, that's kind of tough to say. I
I
don't know.
guess,
I would have to just try it. I'm not sure.
yeah, because the question really comes down to: are there any points in the game which are like one-way drops or anything that would prevent you from getting like climbing back the way you came, or otherwise um, having carrots you can't help but pick up? Those are the two things that would influence whether or not that's possible.
Well, in the last level, near the end, you can't go back if you fall down to the lower like level. There's like a on the last level that in the end there's like the upper level has a lot of enemies and the lower level has carrots.
Mm-hmm.
If you fall down below, then you can't go back in the level.
Yeah, so this stretch of 4 carrots right here, I think it's not possible to land here without collecting at least some of them. By the time you make it this far, you have to spend 2 carrots to kill this guy. So I would say level 1, not possible to avoid killing enemies with carrots.
Yeah, I guess so.
It is, and it would be an interesting meta challenge, but I think you'd have to like expressly design build the game around it. Oh, well, I collected those 3 carrots. Who knows? Maybe it would have been possible to kill that guy, but again, I think collecting these carrots, you can't avoid it. So by the time you've collected at least 2 carrots in the level, it's not worth trying to avoid them anymore. So I think there's one theoretical point in the game we've identified so far where if I was paying more attention, I could have avoided using the carrots to kill that first enemy. Anyway, we don't need to
Yeah.
get sidetracked on that. Um,
There's also some secret carrots that you can get. Which
oh,
you would have to collect that if you want the maximum points. You actually almost found one secret, but you're like the second person that like almost found it, but for some reason you didn't climb all the way up, like where there were like a bunch of blocks and you climbed up and
yeah. I mean, I know the point that you're talking about, but I climbed all the way up and then I jumped and I didn't see anything happen, so I just stopped.
yeah, you have to go to the left there, like jump and go to the left.
Oh, there's like yet another platform that's a part of that staircase.
Yeah, there's like a huge platform.
Oh, but it's completely off screen.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, in that case, I'm not surprised that someone else had the same issue as me of not seeing or not knowing that they could make that jump there. Because again, if it's not on screen, then how would you think to assume that it's there?
Yeah. Well, I just kind of put that there just to see if anyone would find it.
Mm. Do you know if anyone has found it, or
I don't know of anyone that has found. I don't think anyone found it yet.
okay? Well, if I don't know, I can't remember if I've already passed that point or if it's in a level that's still ahead of me, but I
And
will.
there's actually 2 secrets. There's one where you have to go to the left at the beginning of the level.
Oh
And
my
there's
gosh.
some carrots.
One of those, yeah. Okay.
But the one you found or would have found was like way more significant in the number of carrots.
Mm. So I guess there's no real penalty for dying then.
Yeah, well, just maybe for speedrun purposes, you might want to not die, but yeah, there's
But is your sorry, what did you say?
yeah, I specifically make sure to like reset your score to what it was at the beginning of the level so that
Yeah.
you don't lose anything.
So is there a how do I say this? Is there oh yeah, like is there something that actually tracks your time at the end?
What do you mean by that?
Like does it display the sum total of the your playthrough through the game?
Yeah, it does. It showed when you first played it. There's like I came up with like a minimum time, which is like all the times where you haven't died combined, and there's a maximum where it counts your deaths as well. Because
Okay,
I started with the minimum, but then I realized that it's not that it's no good for speedrunning purposes.
it's not representative of the actual time it took you to play through the game.
Yeah, it just counts the times and the levels.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting to display both, but I think the reason I didn't understand what I was seeing was because I haven't seen anyone do a minimum maximum time like that before. And I also think that it would be helpful to parse that number into minutes and seconds, because otherwise, if you just see like 300 something, you don't really parse that into like minutes and seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's in seconds right now, but yeah, there's not even an S after that. I'm not sure why I didn't make it more clear that it's the time, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like, because I have added in-game timers to my a few of my games, and I would recommend just, oh my gosh, that same enemy has killed me twice because I've just been going forward and then not realized that they're gonna be there. So that's all part of the sightline stuff. But you'd think I'd remember after dying through it so many times. But yeah, I would recommend parsing seconds into minutes, because that's the main reason I didn't realize what I was seeing there. It was because I was expecting to see it in a timestamp format. And you can tell I'm getting impatient because I just keep killing myself on the same enemies. So I will try to take it slow in order to better show off the game here. So have you worked on many platforming games before?
Yeah, there's a few. There's I think my like earliest one is called Rectangle Run.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe a bit different from this one. It's there's only static obstacles. Well, actually no, there's like moving ones too, but there's like only saw blades, and it's in black and white, not pixel art.
Mm-hmm.
There's more. I just don't remember them right now.
Yeah,
But yeah,
sure.
this is actually my first pixel art game. Usually I just go with like vector graphics.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I didn't really have experience specific to pixel art.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just like general art knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, it translated really well. I think that everything like looks really nice. Like, there's no rough edges to any of the tiles and palettes. Like, everything is well, yeah, it's a good choice of palette. And then, oh, okay, finally remembered to not make that, and then I just failed on the jump. Oh my goodness. This level, for some reason, I'm having the most trouble on it, even though it's not even. I don't even know if I would say this is necessarily the hardest level in the game, but there certainly are a lot of places where you can die very easily. I think general advice I would give to people making platforming games is don't have any platform that is just one block wide. I would recommend making platforms always at least like twice the width of your character. Like, if your character represents one sort of game unit in width, then I would recommend making any platform at least 2 of those widths.
Yeah, I think the reason I did that is because I was kind of running out of ideas for levels and how to challenge the player. And one of the reasons for that, I think, is that the player only jumps 1 block high. Like, you can only jump up to like 1 block. You can't jump up to 2 blocks, which I think is a mistake that kind of makes the levels worse. It makes it harder to design levels, at least.
Mm. By the way, when you're on a moving platform, is your momentum added? Like, is the platform's momentum added to the player's momentum?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so
'Cause
if
I
a
was...
platform is like moving to the right, you can also move to the right, and then if you jump and hold the direction, you go really fast.
I was noticing that, and it made me overshoot my jump a couple times.
Yeah. That's like maybe useful for speedrunning.
Well, it's a oh god, it's useful for speedrunning if you can take advantage of it. It would be neat to see other places in the game where you maybe introduce that as an intentional mechanic. Like maybe there are certain platforms that move up and down that like catapult the player if you jump off them at the right time, or otherwise there are some wider jumps that the player has to make. But again, never underestimate how important it is to introduce new concepts in a safe space. So if you're introducing the concept of the like platform pushes the player along, then make sure you do it where there is safe ground that they can land and try it again if they fail, or put it like really close to the beginning of the level. Like that is a sort of built-in in a game that otherwise doesn't have checkpoints. You can always just put stuff towards the beginning of a level, and that is that's the easiest way to put a high difficulty, potentially high frustration situation. Okay, so here we made our way to the staircase. But yeah, that you can sort of use the beginning of a level as a checkpoint. Oh man, so you can just keep walking and getting a whole bunch of carrots along the top of the screen here.
Yeah, it goes all the way to the beginning of the level.
Wow, so that's going to be worth a whole ton of points, I assume. Well, now I have to finish this playthrough. Little developer cheat there, I guess. Well, it's not a cheat. I know you expected people to find it, but I think the way that you might have, the way that people might have found that would have been if you had made a platform that you can jump through and land on from underneath, or sorry, from above. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
okay.
you can jump up through it from below, but it's solid from above.
Oh, so you mean like a one-way platform?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good solution.
And I think especially if it's off the top of the screen, I would have made it possible to like have the camera pan up vertically when you land. So obviously you want to usually restrict the camera to just the horizontal axis, but maybe when the player touches down on that hidden upper platform, that's when you make it actually possible to see the camera shift up or something like that. Okay, so there we go. I got my 9,000 points by finding the how many? There's like a ton of carrots up there.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So do you have any plans for this game going forward, or are you just thinking about like general advice for other platform games in future?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I was thinking maybe I can make a deluxe version that's like maybe not pixel art but 3D perhaps. But I don't know. That seems a bit advanced, maybe.
It really depends on what your objective is. I think that making like a post-gem version of this, I can totally imagine something like that where you make a couple tweaks, maybe. But it really depends on the reception that you got from the game in the first place. Like, if you think it's worthwhile to continue developing it, and you had like people saying they enjoyed it and they want to see more from it, or maybe you could just dedicate that effort towards making a new project that, even if it's conceptually the same, like, or even if like the control scheme is the same, you just have a new batch of sprites, a new coat of paint on it, so to speak. You could also do something like that. Just take the lessons learned from this game and apply them to a new project, rather than, putting a lot of effort into developing this particular one further.
Yeah, Well, actually, I guess, yeah, I think I would prefer to like work on new projects, especially since like this was my first serious project in Godot, so
Mhm.
I've done like a lot of things that are not the like best practices.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, I'll say like, it felt reasonably polished. Like I there were a couple things about the platforming. Like, of course, modern games have spoiled us with expectations for things like coyote time and um, just like
Well,
input
actually,
buffering. Yeah.
there's actually both coyote time and input buffering
Okay. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like
in this.
it did feel good in that way. I'm just listing those off as examples. I wasn't trying to say that this game didn't have it because the best thing is to not necessarily notice that it is or isn't there. It's just like subconsciously feels like it's there. So yeah, I mean that's why I was saying it. It does feel polished. Um, there's just something about like the jump arc. You know, I'm working on that platforming game, Worlds Within Worlds, so I'm very used to the jump physics of my own game, and I designed it that way because that's a like weight and physics to the character that I think feels good. So it's not to say that this is not good. It's just to say that I'm very used to it and made it that way for a reason. But other than that, I think, as you said, like if you'd given the character the ability to jump 2 block heights, that might have helped to vary up the structure of the level design. A scrolling background could have been interesting, but difficult to implement with the palette restrictions. But again, the nice thing about making a post-gen version of the game is you aren't bound to the limitations of the jam anymore. So you could always add something like that in. I don't know if that's something that you can imagine adding.
Yeah, I think the like background would have like added more art that I would have needed to make, and
Yes, for
like
sure.
I said, I'm not really experienced in pixel art, so I just went with a simplistic look.
Yeah, I mean, even that said, like this is for someone who's like doesn't have much experience with pixel art. I think it still turned out better than what I could have managed in a similar time frame. Like it looks good. Like you have very good key art of the character, like on the title screen and on the sort of like ending screen as well, and the little like cutscene that plays in the beginning. Like it all comes together very nicely. So good job on that.
Yeah, thanks.
And I guess other than that, do you have any other projects or other like social media channels? Obviously, you came in via raid, so people should know to find you on Twitch. Do you want to post a link to that, to your Twitch channel?
Yeah, I actually would encourage people to follow me on Twitch. There's a link. I just like a couple hours ago, I was working on making a chatbot for like a Twitch chatbot, and I'm gonna be like working more on that and similar projects, and also yeah, so I'll be streaming that. And there's also a GitHub Game Off happening soon, so
Mhm.
I'll probably be like it's a game jam.
Yeah.
I will probably be streaming that as well. So yeah, I will mostly encourage people to follow me on Twitch.
All right. Sounds good. Um, hello. That's a tricky username. As a duo. Thank you for saying hi. We are just about to wrap things up here, though. So, if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask, now would be the time to do so. We just finished playing Escape from Vegland. I'll drop a link in chat one more time in case anyone would like to check it out. Please do follow IcyLava. Check out the Twitch channel that was just posted in the chat there. And otherwise, if you once you finish with that, the next jam that you're going to be streaming, I'd be more than happy to take a look at the entry that you make there as well.
Yeah, cool.
All right, but thanks so much for joining me, and yeah, I guess goodbye for now.
Yeah, thanks for having me.